What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's start with some NBA scores. This is the first episode of season 5 of Talkin Sports with Jake, so I hope you all enjoy it. Decided just to do me for today. Going forward, I'm gonna try and get a guest on here like once a week-ish, 1 to 2 times a week. We'll see where that goes, but for now, just me. Got my NFL power rankings at the end, like I promised, and of course we will do game picks because it is game picks Wednesday, and we will be doing that for the division round of the NFL playoffs. Start with some basketball. Just 3 games last night. Yeah, the Sixers over the Nuggets, 126 to 121. It was of course Joel Embiid against Nikola Jokic. Those two guys over the previous 3 years into this year have been the two best players in the league. Jokic win the MVP the previous 2 years, and then he came in second last year to Joel Embiid. I thought Jokic should have won the game, but that's another story for another day. Joel Embiid, 41 points, 7 boards, 10 assists, 25 and 19 for Jokic. He had a moment between Jokic and Embiid after the game, and Embiid said he told him he's the best player in the league. So clearly have a lot of respect for each other. Philly's playing some really good basketball. See if things will be different in the playoffs. Seems like all Philly sports seem to come up short in the playoff, but we'll see what happens. Suns over the Kings, 119 to 117. Grayson Allen had 29 in the game. Big comeback from the Suns. They were down by they were down like I think like 15 or 18 points with like 8 minutes left in the game. I think it was like 112-97 or something. With like 8 minutes left, and they went on a crazy run. I think 30-10 run in the final 8 minutes to win that game. Then you had the Clippers beat the Thunder 128 to 117. Paul George had 38 points and 7 rebounds. 28 of his 38 in the second half, and a couple of big shots late to win that game for the Clippers. And he said when it comes to the Shy trade, he said he thinks it's a win-win trade. Only time will tell. The Clippers lose in the first round of the playoffs this year, and then it's not. I'm sorry, because Thunder got Shy goes to Alexander. Gallinari, they were able to turn into more picks. They got 5 first-round picks, and the Clippers got Paul George, and the Clippers they've been to the conference finals once. And, him and Kawhi, now you had Harden and Russell Westbrook and all the other guys they've had. The fact they haven't even been to a finals yet is pretty embarrassing, if you ask me. But let's talk about the NHL standings in the Eastern Conference. In first place right now is the Boston Bruins. They have 61 points right now. They're 26, 8, and 9. After last year, they had the historically bad collapse. You had the best record ever in their regular season. Most wins ever. You had the most points ever. David Pastrnak finished second in MVP voting. Your goalie, Linus Ullmark, was the best in the trophy. Your coach, Jim Montgomery, was the coach of the year when he won the Jack Adams Award. And they're won the whole thing. And then they blew a 3-1 lead in the first round to the 8 seed Florida Panthers. Well, of course, they're going on a great run to the Stanley Cup final. The second is the Rangers with 58 points at 28-13-2. They were struggling a little bit. They were able to pick up a win against Seattle last night, 5-2. The problem for the recent slide, they lost 4 games in a row. It was defensive goaltending. Igor Shesterkin really hasn't had a great year, to be honest. He hasn't had his best year. Jonathan Quick's honestly been their better goalie. This little stretch, Shesterkin is struggling. Even Jonathan Quick, the game he played, didn't look so good. And their defense, which has been phenomenal this year, hasn't been as sharp. But they looked a lot better. Igor played a much better game. He had 28 saves against Seattle. The defense played a lot better, only letting up 2 goals. They looked a lot better. But they were able to pick up one against Seattle, so that's a big win for them. You have Florida in third with 57 points, 27-13-3. Of course, Florida, like I said, was in the Cup final last year. They played very, very well this year. Philadelphia Flyers are in fourth right now with 54 points. They are 24-14-6. I did not expect that. I mean, like I've said in the past, John Tortorella, his teams, he's so intense, and and such a old school and rigorous coach. There's 1 year he gets everything out of his players, gets the most out of everybody. The team has a great year. They have a good year. They go to the playoff. They might even they'll win a round or 2, whatever. And after that, the players just turn on him. He loses the locker, and it's like, dude, we got 82 games. You gotta chill when that thing's full apart. After a couple of years, he gets fired. So obviously didn't really work out last year. He didn't get along with some of the players. Obviously, him and Tony D'Angelo butted heads. Getting benched. Then he benched Kevin Hayes, and then Kevin Hayes didn't like that. So it didn't really work. Flyers missed the playoffs, but been better this year. So maybe this is the one year where Torch gets the most out of this team. In fifth is Carolina. 53 points, 24, 14, and 5. Toronto was in sixth, 21, 13, and 8 with 50 points. I talked about this with Redbox, who, of course, you all know he calls him to my show a lot. They need a goalie. Like, bad. You had Ila Samsonov, who was horrible. He's been horrible this year. They sent him down to the minors. Joseph Wool, the backup, is hurt. Now they have Martin Jones, who's actually played somewhat decent, but Martin Jones, he's a journeyman. He was in sales. He came up with the Kings. He was a journeyman, in San Jose for a while. He had some solid years in San Jose as a starter. Then he kind of fell off a little bit. Then he was a backup in Philly. Now he's in Toronto. Matt Murray might still be like alive there. I don't know what his deal is. He had a couple of good years in Pittsburgh, and they're like, oh, let's just get rid of Marc-Andre Fleury for this guy. And then they're like, oh wait, he's actually not that good, and though he's hurt. They threw him to Ottawa, and then he got that big deal, and then he looked like he then had never played hockey above like the Pee Wee level. Detroit and some with 49 points. They've been playing well. The Detroit Red Wings, obviously very young. They've had some tough years lately. Of course, they're weird. They had like a 25-year streak where they were in the playoffs, and they haven't made the playoffs now in like 8 years. It's weird. But they're right now in Tampa. Right now is the last team in with 49 points. They're 22, 17, and 5. My team is getting older. Obviously they were in 3 straight Cup finals. The first 2 they won. 2 years ago they lost to Colorado, and then last year, of course, lost in the first round to Toronto. And now they might not even make the playoffs. But on the outside looking in is Pittsburgh. They're a point out right now. Going into the year, I thought they'd be a little better than they are. I mean, obviously the issue was the age. They're obviously a very old team. But I thought, all right, Crosby is older but still a great player. Malkin's still pretty good, with Tank's still an okay player. You have Jake Guns, you have Brian Rust. Obviously, I don't know if Tristan Jarry's going to stay healthy, but I thought they'd at least could be like a 5 or a 6 in the East, and maybe they could squeeze out a series win, maybe. But that team, they might need to just rethink some things. Obviously, they brought in a new front office, and with Kyle Dubas as the president of hockey operations, which is definitely a good move. Obviously you have a very good coach in Mike Sullivan. He's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion for a reason. But that team is just getting really, really old. You have Washington Capitals are also, I point out, their team is also much older. Obviously they have a new coach. Spencer Carter, I believe, is their new coach. He's done a good job. I thought Washington was not going to be very good this year. That'll be a bit of like a transition year for them. Ovechkin is towards the end of his career. Has a lot of those guys on my team. They have a lot of other younger players as well who were inexperienced, but they've been very competitive. Only a point out. The Islanders are a point out. They are struggling right now. Look, it's the same thing every year with them. They don't have enough goal scoring, and now the goaltending has fallen off because Sorokin hasn't had a great year. He's supposed to be arguably the best goalie in the league. Hasn't had a great year, and Varlamov's been their better goalie. That's a team that is one that's been able to barely sneak into the playoff based off having great defense and really good goaltending, just not being really able to score. That's what they always lose in the first round. But when the goaltending goes, the team really isn't very good, is it? And so that's why they are point out of the playoffs. Yeah, but Devils are 2 points out. They've been disappointed. I thought they were going to have a huge year with Devils. They've been a little tough. Jack Hughes, their star players, have missed a lot of time of injuries this year and hasn't gone so well for them. Yeah, the Montreal Canadiens, who have been a little better than I expected. They're obviously in a rebuild, but they've been actually pretty competitive. They're right now, I think, 5 points out of a playoff spot. They've been pretty competitive. Then you have the Buffalo Sabres. Right now are 6 points out. I've said this before. They're really weird. They've beaten a lot of really good teams. They beat the Rangers. They've beaten Boston. They've beaten a lot of really good teams. But the Rams lose like 6-1 to some bum ass team. Like, they're really confusing. Like, going to the year, a lot of people thought they could be a sleeper to maybe sneak into the playoffs. Obviously, they have that, that NHL long playoff drought, however long it is. I don't even remember, 12 or 14, whatever the heck it is. But yeah, they're very inconsistent. Sometimes they go out there like, wow, this team is on the cusp of absolutely breaking out. And so sometimes you go out there like, okay, yeah, that's why they haven't made the playoffs in over a decade. You have Columbus, who absolutely sucks, and then Ottawa is really, really bad. 30 points, 15 and 24. The coaching change has done nothing there, by the way. In the Western Conference, you have the Winnipeg Jets with 62 points. That's tied for the most in the league. 29, 10, and 4. It's been a lot of surprising teams, I feel like, in the Western Conference. Winnipeg is definitely one of them. Vancouver is also has tied for the most record best points in the league. They are 29, 11, and 4, 62 points. They've come out of nowhere. That's a young team that obviously has struggled the last few years. They had the whole Bruce Boudreau thing a couple of years ago. But they're on top right now, playing really, really well. Colorado has 61 points. Of course, they won the Stanley Cup Final 2 years ago. Last year, were upset by Seattle in the first round. They have 61 points. They're in third right now. They're playing really well. You have Dallas in fourth with 57 points. Vegas is in fifth with 55. You have the Kings in sixth with 50 points. You have Edmonton Oilers in seventh with 49. Edmonton Oilers have won. Edmonton Oilers, they are hot. They have won 11 straight games. 11 straight wins for the Edmonton Oilers. Chris Nalbach has done a phenomenal job since taking over as head coach there. Obviously, he was with the Rangers in the AHL. He had some short stints as like the interim head coach. I think when Gallant was out with COVID, a couple of times he had to take over for like a week or two, and he looked pretty good. Now he's been a hot head coach candidate in NHL for a while. He was kind of a rising star in their coaching rings, and now he got his shot with Edmonton. And he's done a really good job. Edmonton that was dead in the water when they made the coaching changes. Obviously stormed back up there now, the 7th spot in the West, and they've won 11 games in a row. And the last team we're right now is Nashville at 24, 19, and 1. You have Calgary's 2 points out. They've been playing pretty well, but not surprised they're on the outside looking in. They obviously did some retooling in the offseason, bringing in a new regime. You have Seattle's also 2 points out. They have been playing really well. They were one of the worst teams in the league for a while, but they've gotten hot, so they're back in the race. You have Arizona is 4 points out. They were in playoff position for a while. They've kind of slowed down a little bit, but still right there. You have St. Louis is 6 points out, and obviously they made a coaching change a little while back. You have Minnesota, who's been horrible this year. They are really strong. They've lost 8 of the last 10 games. They are terrible. And the Chicago the Anaheim Ducks first. I mean, they're not any better. Chicago Blackhawks are absolutely terrible. And now Connor Bedard, who's really their only thing they got going for them, is out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken jaw. And the San Jose Sharks are 10, 31, and 4. They are atrocious. One of the worst hockey teams I've ever seen. Not sure why David Quinn's still a job. He's a glorified college coach. Sharks, they are really, really bad at hockey. No other way to put it. That's the NHL standings. Onto football, the New Orleans Saints, they fired Pete Carmichael, who had been their offensive coordinator there for 15 years. He was with Drew Brees for a very long time. He was actually with Brees and with the Chargers as well. Then he followed him to New Orleans. And, when Drew Brees was there, he seemed like he was doing fine. But then when Drew Brees left, you're like, oh, wait, this guy actually isn't that good of a coach. He is actually not a very good play caller. Look, I have no clue why Dennis Allen still has a job. And he should have been fired. And Carmichael is basically, to me, it seems like, just like the fall guy for Allen. But he needs to go. He did a terrible job this year. He's not a very good play caller. He was, he had his quarterback was Drew Brees for all those years. That's not that hard to be a good offensive coordinator when you have Drew Brees. Same thing with Nathaniel Hackett with the Jets. Like, well, what the heck happened? I thought he was actually a pretty good offensive coordinator. No, he had Aaron Rodgers. When he had Aaron Rodgers, he looked fine, and then he got the head coach job in Denver, and also that blew up in his face. Oh wait, he's actually not a good offensive mind, just that he had one of the greatest quarterbacks the league's ever seen. Just brought him back, the guy Aaron Rodgers, like, oh, we fired Rodgers, and then Rodgers gets hurt. And yes, he had Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Trevor Siemian, but still, his play calling was horrible. The Atlanta Falcons they interviewed Bill Belichick for their head coach opening. Also, that's been a spot for him, as it's been rumored. Apparently, there's mutual interest. They also interviewed Jim Harbaugh. So interesting there. Harbaugh's been very connected to the Chargers job. He's been connected to the Raiders. But he's now an option in Atlanta as well. Their under offer blanket has always has always looked to try to make a splash. Bring in a big name for his head coach opening whenever he has a head coach opening. He tried to hire Bill Parcells years ago, didn't quite work out, and now he has a chance. With Bill Belichick out there now as well as Jim Harbaugh. But I'm not sure if you guys saw something really funny. So, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have their playoff game coming up. And so, Todd Bowles was talking to the media, their head coach, and so a reporter asked him about the weather, like could the weather be a concern because they're playing in Detroit and it's kind of cold in Detroit, and they play in Tampa Bay, Florida, where it's always sunny every single day and sunny and warm pretty much all the time. So, I should know. I go to Tampa to visit my dad like a couple weeks out of the year. We've obviously the first round of the playoff. We had the Bills Chiefs. The Bills Steelers game had to get moved a day because it was a foot of snow. The Chiefs Dolphins game was one of the coldest games ever. It was like below zero. You saw obviously the Miami Dolphins struggling in that game. So the reporter asked him, "Oh, could the weather be a concern?" And Todd Bowles was like, "Well, they play indoors, so no. We'll only be outdoors for 20 seconds coming off the bus." How you didn't know if you're a reporter? Some of these reporters are so stupid. That's the stupidest questions. They play in a dome. Oh, good lord. I mean, how stupid. Some of these sports reporters, they just piss me off. Some of these sports reporters, I looked at, I was like, I could do a better job on them right now. Like, oh my god. Will the weather be a factor? What, for the 7 seconds they're coming off the team bus, walking into the stadium? They play in a dome. They have forever. Wanted to play at Ford Field for ages, and they've always been indoors. It's always been in the dome. I don't understand. Some of these reporters, they ask the stupidest questions. Like, do you just wake up like, what random question? Oh my god. That is such a clown question. Yikes. That I have no words. I don't know what to say. That's pathetic. Thankfully, Todd Bowles was nice about it. He could have been like, we play in a bleeping dome, you idiot. Yikes. Wow. I don't know what to say. But once the game picks, then we'll do our final NFL power rankings. On Saturday, at 4:30 on ESPN and ABC, it'll be Texans at the Ravens, because Baltimore was the one since they got the bye. Houston to feed the Cleveland Browns. They are, of course, the champions of the AFC South. They blew out the Cleveland Browns in the first round, 45-14. And they advanced to play the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. I do think this is a close game. The Ravens right now are favored by 9. They're at -9. I think Houston could cover that. I think it'll be a close game. CJ Stroud is an absolute stud. But the Ravens are really, really good. I am a little worried about the Ravens. Lamar in the past, I haven't loved what I've seen from him in the postseason. But I think this is their year. Also, Houston, they got some injuries. 2 of your top 3 receivers are out. Tank Dell is out for the year. Noah Brown, who's your third best receiver, he's out for the rest of the playoffs. They're really young. Ravens are a little more experienced. They're obviously the better team. Lamar's probably the MVP this year. They have an incredible running game. You obviously got that phenomenal defense, got that great pass rush. That secondary is incredible, really, really loaded. They're deep. To me, the only team that can beat the Ravens is the Ravens. If Lamar, struggles and has a couple turnovers and they shoot themselves in the foot, the only team that will keep the Ravens from winning the Super Bowl will be the Ravens. I don't think anyone beats them. The only team that maybe has a snowball's chance in hell, maybe the Chiefs. Just because it's, Mahomes in the playoffs has been absolutely money, but they have so many dropouts with their receiving core, and you have the Lions showing, and Kelsey's got other stuff going on, dealing with the Taylor Swift stuff, and now his brother is retiring, and his podcast. There's a lot of other factors going on, and they're all O-line struggling all year. So I'm not sure if it's their year. Maybe the NFC, maybe the 49ers, but Ravens absolutely destroyed them in primetime a few weeks back. So there's a lot of evidence saying that 49ers can't even beat them. So I don't know who beats them. So the best team, the best chance to beat the Ravens is the Ravens, to be honest. So I think it's a close game. Houston's got a really bright future with CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryan as the head coach. Got a lot of good pieces on that team, but I'm gonna take the Ravens. All right, 8:15, the nightcap on Fox will be Packers 49ers. So in the past, obviously the 49ers have owned have owned the Packers. Obviously, when Aaron Rodgers got drafted, they asked him, the 49ers passed on you. He was like, I'm going to make them regret drafting me. Of course, he was 0-3 against them in the playoffs. Look, Jordan Love has been playing lights out. He finished his last games, it's like week 11 or 12, with 18 touchdowns against only one pick. Completed like 7% of his passes. He was phenomenal in the first round playoff game against Dallas. The offense had been firing on all cylinders. I'm taking the Niners. That defense is horrible in Green Bay. They're not very good. I know up until garbage time, they played very well against Dallas. But you gotta remember, Dak Prescott in the playoffs is absolutely terrible. Mike McCarthy's play calling was atrocious. I'm surprised he still has a job right now. But you're going up against Brock Purdy had a really good year. He threw for over 4,200 yards and 31 touchdowns, only 11 picks. They got a zillion different weapons. This is gonna be probably another high scoring game, but the difference is the 49ers should be able to stop Green Bay to an extent. So, and the San Francisco also owns Green Bay in January. They're this time the much better team. I'm gonna take the San Francisco 49ers to move on. Going to the NFC, you have the Bucks and Lions at 3 o'clock on NBC. You have Bucks and Lions. Obviously, the Lions, they snuck past the Rams in the first round. Bucks destroyed the Eagles. I think this will be a good game. It's weird. Detroit, I don't really trust as like a Super Bowl contender. So they're a team on paper I thought, yeah, they're probably gonna lose like the second round. Hell, I picked the Rams to beat them in the first round. Bucks don't deserve to be here. If the Eagles didn't completely collapse, the Bucks would not have won that game. Eagles can just give up, in like week 12 or whatever. So like both teams I don't really believe in. Both teams I look at them. That team that's in the conference championship. But I'm taking Detroit. Like he overall had a good year. He played very well. Let's make against Philly, though that Philly defense is absolutely pitiful. The Lions secondary is not good. They've struggled pretty much all year. They got a lot of injuries. So I can see Baker going out there and having another good performance. I can see the Bucks, putting up some points. But Goff and that offense is going to pick that just awful secondary apart in Tampa. So I'm going to take the Detroit Lions, which should be a pretty good game, but I will take the Detroit Lions. And then the nightcap tonight, 6:30 Chiefs, Bills. So obviously the Chiefs have beaten the Bills the last two times in the playoffs. You had the divisional round game a couple of years ago. That crazy game, back and forth. The Chiefs tie it. They get the ball with 13 seconds left. Mahomes somehow goes down and gets a field goal and goes to overtime, and then the Chiefs end up winning in overtime. And about 2 years later, they end up changing the overtime rules in the playoffs for this reason. And then you got the Bills, and Chiefs also played the following year, and Chiefs beat the previous year the Chiefs beat them in the AFC Championship, and then last year the Bills lost to Cincinnati in the second round. So this is going to be a phenomenal game. But I'm gonna take Kansas City. I know Allen played great against Pittsburgh. He played really, really well. The Chiefs, they blew up the Miami Dolphins, but that's not a surprise. Miami is a complete fraud. They're used to playing in sunny Miami, Florida. They had to play in negative 20-degree Kansas City at Arrowhead. And I know the Bills beat them earlier in the season, but I'm gonna take the Chiefs. Look, they have a lot of concerns with the drops. Their offensive line isn't very good, but Mahomes in the playoffs, I trust Mahomes in the playoffs. Kelsey is still obviously a phenomenal tight end. The Chiefs defense is really, really good. I think really underrated. Up front, you got George Karlaftis, who had a great year, first round pick a year ago. Well, Jerry Sneed has emerged as one of the best cover corners in the entire sport. Troy McDuffie had a great year. He made the Pro Bowl as a slot corner. The defense is really good. Steve Spagnuolo's done a really good job this year with that defense. You know, Josh Allen has a tendency to be, be a bit of a problem when it comes to turnovers, and he's been better with that outside of I think it was the Miami game, or the last game of the year where he had 3 turnovers, but the team still won. He's played very well. He's been a lot better with that. But this seems like a game that Allen goes out there and has a couple of bad turnovers. So I think that's what happens. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to move on to the AFC Championship. Those are my game picks. Now for the what I've been talking about since yesterday, power rankings in the NFL. So power rankings to finish the year. Gonna go through, go through the power rankings. What each team needs. What went right, what went wrong, what to do next year. So here we go. At 32, the worst team in the league, the Carolina Panthers. Just yikes. 2-15, a disastrous year, and they're in a really tough spot because they took the wrong quarterback. I'm not saying Bryce Young is a bust yet. It's only been a year. He had a rough setup this year, but so he didn't show me anything. He had to have like 5, 6, 7 games where he was like 108 yards and a pick, no touchdowns. He's developing a lot slower than people thought he was going to. A lot of people thought he was the most NFL ready quarterback in the league. Coming out. Well, the rookies, that was definitely not the case. Obviously that was C.J. Stroud. Hell, Anthony Richardson, to me, in the 4 games I saw, looked more NFL ready than Bryce Young, if you ask me. So if you're Carolina, what do you do? So you gotta find a head coach. To me, so Dave Tepper tried going the college with Matt Rule, didn't work. He tried bringing in, a retread, in Frank Reich. It didn't work. So on paper, you think, oh, maybe he should go and get, like the hot shot first timer, like a Ben Johnson or a Mike McDonald. I'm telling you right now, this is not a job for a first time head coach. Also, who wants this job? Look, there's only 32 head coach other than in the NFL. But right now there's 8 available. Dallas might be coming open in the coming days. Philadelphia might be coming open in the coming days. If there's 10, 11 openings, this job is going to be the worst job out there. The only 2 jobs that are going to possibly come up now are Dallas and Philly. Obviously, those are miles better than Carolina, obviously. So right now, I think the 8 openings could become 9 or 10. This is the worst job out there. So if I think of the hotshot first timers, you might get an interview from Ben Johnson because he's from Carolina, but he's going to have interest from almost every other team. I know the Chargers are going after him. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh used to be the favorite there, but they're going after him. There's a lot of our teams going after him. Pretty much every team is going after him. This just isn't the job. This isn't the job for a first timer. There's a lot of things that need fixing. So also, they gotta find a real GM. Scott Fitter was horrible. Horrible. He's now have a job. To me, did they need like a guy who's like steady, who's done this before? At one point, I would have said Dan Quinn after what I saw the other day. Please not hire him as a head coach. Anybody. Good Lord, please. To me, Mike Vrabel makes perfect sense. He's done this before. He's a really good coach. He's stable. He'd be absolutely perfect. You just think of, the other openings. You think, all right, Mike Vrabel can get a better job than that. To me, Washington makes a lot of sense. But I haven't heard a ton of smoke there. Obviously, New England didn't even call them. The Chargers appear to be zeroed in on Harbaugh, maybe Ben Johnson. Birds appear to be zoned in on promoting Antonio Pierce, maybe Jim Harbaugh. I don't think he's going to Atlanta because they just fired his former offensive coordinator, so I don't think he's gonna be wanting to go to Atlanta. To me, they need to call Mike Vrabel and they gotta get him in there. Look, I love Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. I love Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator from the Baltimore Ravens. I love Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator in Houston. They all deserve to be head coaches. I think they'll all make very good head coaches, and I hope and I expect them all to be head coaches in the next weeks and months, but not in Carolina. First of all, if there's 7, 8 plus all other openings, this should be the last choice on their list. Like if I'm all these guys, I'd rather go back and be a coordinator for another year than coach the Carolina Panthers, to be honest. Because you got so little to work with, you're gonna win 16 games in 3 years and get fired, and from not their fault. So I'm not sure why you would take that job. Because like you have a young quarterback in Bryce Young who's developing a lot slower than people thought. I'm not. I know Pierce Dave Tepper was cleaning house. Obviously, he took the head coach obviously right during the season. At the time he took the quarterback coach Josh McCown and the running back coach Deuce Staley. He just took the GM. It appears they might want to keep Ejiro Rivera, the defensive coordinator, because they blocked the Jacksonville Jaguars from interviewing him for their defensive coordinator job. So everyone else though is going to be gone. If I'm Ejiro Rivera, I'm like, I'm going to try to be a defensive coordinator somewhere else. This crap is ridiculous. Like, their offensive line is terrible. They don't really have a running game. I mean, they paid Miles Sanders $25 million, and for a guy who's a committee back, and when, to me, based on what I saw, Chuba Hubbard was the better back in that backfield. Chuba Hubbard's making nothing, and Miles Sanders is making one of the higher paid backs in the league. He looked horrible. Their receivers, you have Adam Thielen, who had a good year. He's still a good player. He's solid. DJ Shark is horrible. I don't even know who the other receivers are. Terrence Marshall sucks. Hayden Hurst isn't that great. On defense, they play pretty well on defense. Brian Burns is obviously a great player. Ejiro Rivera did a very good job. He's a really good defensive coordinator. Could be a head coach in a couple of years. He did some head coach interviews last year before he got the defensive coordinator job in Carolina. But and to me, they just need to clean house. Get a proven vet in there, head coach like Mike Vrabel, somebody like that. Like, don't bring in Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson or anybody. I don't think they can give you an interview, to be honest. You get someone steady who's done this before on there, because this team they can draft. The only player on that team that you can say, all right, they might have gotten that right is probably Chuba Hubbard, who's like a 4th or a 5th round pick running back in Oklahoma State. I'm not even sure if he's a starter. Who else? Bryce Young, they took the wrong guy. I want to say you missed on the pick yet, but you should have taken Stroud. You gave up, the 9th pick last year, your second rounder last year, the first pick in this year's draft, and a Pro Bowl receiver in DJ Moore for Bryce Young. So you have to try and make this work. And they don't have a first round pick now, and they don't have a lot of cap space. So to me, they gotta start cutting some guys loose. At this point, I just eat the money on Miles Sanders. I move off DJ Shark, move off Dante Jackson. He isn't that great. I even consider possibly moving off Taylor Moton. I know he's a very good right tackle. You want to move off maybe your best lineman on a line that's already horrible, but you gotta have cap space somewhere. Start. I'd actually tag and trade Brian Burns. He's a free agent. I'd tag him and then trade him right away. Try and get a first round pick for him. Try and get that first rounder back. Now you have a first round, you also with the 33rd pick. All right, you can salvage something out of his draft. You can still get 2 very good players out of his draft. Have a little more confidence to maybe bring in some more help for Bryce, because this is like a disaster on the horizon. Because they're in the really rough spot. You have a young quarterback who was horrible as a rookie, and he's got nothing around him. And you look at the team like, how do I fix this? About just completely exploding this team. And at that point, you're looking at least a 5-year rebuild. So, but Carolina Panthers are the worst team in the league. The New England Patriots I have at number 31. They were terrible this year. I do think this team is fixable. They brought in Gerard Mayo. I didn't think. I talked about it yesterday. I didn't think. Love the hire. It's a Jeff fan on mine. I don't think it's gonna work. But from a non-biased perspective, I still think it's a job for a first timer. He might be a really nice guy. He might be a really good guy. But that does not make him. Yeah, he might be a great patron. That does not make him a head coach. I know he's been their linebackers coach since 2016. He had a big role in the defense. He was practically the de facto defensive coordinator. But like all Bills guys suck. Look at the tree. I don't know, but so obviously they've shown that Mac Jones is not the answer, but Barry Zappi is not the answer. So now they have a third pick. So you'll be able to take somebody with the third pick, or if you want to maybe trade for Justin Fields or whatnot. So get yourself a good GM. Drummer's got to bring in a good offensive coordinator. I don't think that answer is Bill O'Brien. I don't think he's gonna stick around. He's gonna be like, all right, I won 4 division titles with the Houston Texans, and you passed me up for Gerard Mayo. I don't think he's gonna be like Mr. Team Player and stick around. What they need, they got to go out there, get yourselves your quarterback of the future. You need a number 1 wide receiver desperately. I like Jamal Douglas. He's got some potential to be very good. Other than that, Juju is nothing special. He's a fine 2 or a 3, but he didn't have a good year. Devontae Parker is not that good. Bourne's a fine 3, but you need a number 1 wide receiver. You need one. And there's one of them available. In free agency, T. Higgins is a free agent. Mike Evans is a free agent. Stephon Diggs could be on the trade block. You never know. Could A.J. Brown now be unhappy in Philly? Could he be on the trade block? Could, the Titans want to move off DeAndre Hopkins going into last year of his deal if they go into a rebuild? And this draft is loaded. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent. You have Blake Neighbors, Roma Dunes, and just go down the list. So many. You'll probably have at least... Marvin Harrison will be in the top 5, probably in the top 3. I think Neighbors and the Dunes will definitely be in the top 10. I can say that pretty much for sure. You got some other guys in that draft too. Keon Coleman's really good out of Florida State. There's a lot of good receivers available this offseason. Since you need that, they gotta fix the offensive line. I feel like it's fixable because so you have the center Andrew's been there for a while. He's pretty solid. You have the problem is Michael Leonard, your right guard, is a free agent. The left tackle Trent Brown, I believe he's a free agent. Your left guard Cole Strange, that pick made no sense when it happened. It was a reach. He's not very good. I don't even know who the right tackle is, to be honest. So they gotta revamp that offensive line. They have some nice pieces on defense. You remember you have a star young corner, Christian Gonzalez, coming back off the injury. You have Jonathan Jones there. You have a lot of guys there. You have some pretty good linebackers there with Bentley, Christian Barmore had a career year. You have Matt Judon coming back. But Kyle Duggar, who's your best safety, is a free agent. Now, with Josh Uche hitting the market, and he's shown when he doesn't have a guy like John on the other side, he isn't all that effective. So you still need another pass rusher. You're going to need to either re-sign Duggar or replace him. Now, you need, obviously, a quarterback. You need a number 1 receiver. And you need to revamp that offensive line. So, this is going to be a process. This is a full-on rebuild. It's probably going to take a couple of years. Fund them. Get yourself a number 1 receiver. Do that in free agency. Get yourself a quarterback in the draft. Bring in a couple linemen. Piece 2 on defense. You're going to have a ton of cap space to work with. And go out there and at least be competitive next year. See what you have. See what you have in the quarterback that you draft. See what you have in these young guys. See what Rob Meyer is as a head coach. See whoever he brings as his coordinator is. Which means this is a pretty attractive job for a GM because you got an opportunity because you got a lot of stuff to play with. You got some young talent. A young head coach that's already there. You have, we don't know what he is, but, there's obviously some potential there at least. You got, and I know the players like him, so maybe some of these guys like Michael Wenu and Kyle Duggar might not be a little more persuaded to come back than to leave for go somewhere else. Then, you got the third pick in the draft. You have a lot of cap space. I assume Robert Kraft's going to give you the green light to kind of, do what you want. So, they're 31. At 39, the Washington Commanders. Okay, look, it was not pretty this year. It was not. But I think they got a really good GM in Adam Pierce. He comes from San Francisco. They draft really, really well. I like the hire. Now I got to get themselves a head coach. That's a really attractive job. You have the second pick in the draft. You're going to have some cap space. So you can choose where you want to keep Sam Howell, and then instead you can draft whatever you want. Maybe you start off with the lineman like Joe Waltz. You can draft someone on defense. You can trade back. Or you can take a Drake May or whoever at that second pick. So it should be an attractive job. Obviously, now Dan starting on with Josh Harris and Matt Johnson, the new ownership. They appear to be much more stable. Obviously that team needs some help, but how he flashed the first half of the year, played very well. The second half, he really struggled. I mean, that offensive line was brutal. It was brutally bad. They needed to completely scrap it and completely revamp that line. They have a lot of nice weapons. Terry McLaurin's a great receiver. You got Jalen Dotson. I think is a solid too. I like him. You have a good young back in Brian Robinson. Gibson's is not a bad complimentary piece, especially obviously he can return kicks. And also that defense is really, really bad. They have the worst defense in the league. So you have Jonathan Allen, De'Aaron Payne in the middle. Other than that, I don't know if there's a single piece that's gonna help you. You trade Chase Young and Montez Sweat for a second and a third round pick. I guess that's why Martin Mayhew is no longer the GM there. But yeah, they gotta make a decision on what they want to do with Sam Howell. Do you want to give him another year, or do you want to draft somebody else? Because if you want to keep him, you have two choices with the second pick. Either Joe Alt, the stud left tackle at Notre Dame, or honestly, I'd trade the pick. I'm thinking of the defensive players that you could take there. That's far too rich for Dallas Turner. There isn't a corner that would fit there. The best corner might be McCoy McKinstry. That's way too rich for him. So, obviously, if Marvin Harrison doesn't go first, you could take him. They don't really need a receiver. I mean, Marvin, Terry, and Dotson with Brian Robinson on your back, that's a scary looking set of weapons. But to me, they either got, because that offline needs to be completely just rolled over. Take the lineman and move on. Or you trade the pick. I'd lean towards taking Joe Waltz because that's really what you desperately need. But if you could also go for quarterbacks. So if you keep Howell, go for quarterback. Either way, I wouldn't trade it. I can understand if you keep Howell, you maybe get a lot for it. Unless someone gives you a huge offer, you just can't say no. If like the New York Giants want to move up 4 spots and they give you like multiple firsts and they give you a really good player, maybe you do it. But otherwise, I'm keeping the pick. I'm here taking, like a Drake May. I'm taking your quarterback of the future. I think Sam Howell's not the guy, or I'm taking Joe Alt because he's going to be a stud left tackle, which this team desperately needs. And that defense needs a lot of work too. At 29, the Arizona Cardinals. So obviously they weren't good this year. They were not good. I think John McGowan's got potential to be a good head coach. So we'll see m- what they do now. We'll see what Monty Ossenfort does. They have a quarterback in Kyler. Look, I'm not a big fan of him. Really have been, really ever. I don't think he can be any better than maybe the 10th or 11th best quarterback in the league. But they need a lot. They need a number one receiver. Hollywood's gonna be a free agent. He's not number one. And other than that, Rondell Moore's okay. He's like a 3. I like Trey McBride, but tight end there. I do like him. Collins is solid back, but you need another receiver or two. Please fix that offensive line. It's terrible, and that defense needs to help as well. But they're very young, so they're gonna have the 4th pick in the draft. There is a world where Marvin Harrison falls to them. If the Bears take a quarterback, Washington could take a quarterback, and the New England's definitely taking a quarterback. So it could be, the top 3 quarterbacks, could go in a row there. And Marvin Harrison might fall into our lap. If he does, absolutely amazing. If he doesn't, most likely you can get Joe Alt there, and that I think would be the pick. It appears they're sticking with Kyler. Or if Marvin isn't there, and you're not taking a quarterback, I might consider trading down. I mean, they have a lot of picks. They have they made the trade last year to move down with Houston, so they have Houston's pick. That pick also isn't very high because Houston's because they won the playoff game. So maybe you want to just get even more picks. See what's out there. If Marvin Harrison, you gotta take him. You cannot pass on Marvin Harrison. I don't care what offer you get. So that's what they need to do. At 28, the New York Football Giants. Okay, they need to get a quarterback. Daniel Jones is not the guy. Daniel Jones just isn't the guy. I know injuries. The offensive line was abysmal. They had like 80 plus sacks a year. They were horrible, but good God, he also isn't that good. He just isn't. So get yourself a quarterback. They have a 6th pick. Why it's tough because they might not be able to get a guy because the Bears might take a quarterback, and if they trade up, trade up to get number 1, will almost definitely take a quarterback. Washington may or may not. New England almost definitely is. So they're kind of in a tough spot. So they may have to move up. I'm not sure they can get into the top 3. The Bears, all right, maybe if they keep Fields, they could trade the pick, but it's going to cost a whole lot. I'm hearing they'd rather keep the pick. Washington, I don't think they're trading the pick. They shouldn't. They should they're taking quarterback, or they're going to take Joe Alt, or maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. At 3, New England, I think they're taking a quarterback. Unless they get Justin Fields from Chicago, that could be a landing spot for him, I feel like. I think that they're taking a quarterback and they're staying there. And after that, to me, this quarterback class isn't that good, as people said it was. I like Drake May a lot. I like Jane Daniels a lot. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. Michael Penix kind of worries me. I think Bo Nix could be solid, but nothing more. And outside of that, there isn't a whole lot, if you ask me. I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy. I don't know. And after that, I couldn't tell you a name that it's very thin. Jordan Travis coming from a major injury, that's going to be a concern. Just like, I don't know. Squad Rory's like also Quinn Ewers isn't coming out. Sure, Sanders isn't coming out. Because they knew next year they'll have a shot at being a really high pick. Like Quinn Ewers and Shador Sanders will be like mid to late round picks right now. Next year they could be first round picks. So that's, I believe, the reason they decided to come back for another year of college. Are in a tough spot, but first things first, they have to improve the offensive line. Getting Andrew Thomas back will help. Left tackle, he didn't have most of the year with injuries. They found the O-line coach, Bobby Johnson. He was terrible. So we have John Michael Schmidt. You took him a second round last year to Minnesota, the center, and maybe he's got some potential. But other than that, yikes. Evan Neal is a turnstile, a bum. I don't even know what they have again. Was it Shane Lemieux, who's awful? Their other guy is Mark Lewinsky, who's terrible. They need a couple of offensive linemen. If Joel is there, I think you take him. I think Evan Neal's a lowest clause. He is absolutely freaking abysmal. Maybe if you move him to guard, you could try it. But he's terrible. Absolutely terrible. They got a lot of good pieces on defense. Not sure who the coordinator is now, and another thing I'm worried about with Dable. Maybe he might just be a jerk, honestly. But Giants are at 20. At 27, you have the Tennessee Titans. They're going to a full-on rebuild. You took a quarterback in Will Levis in the second round, who I'm not sold on, but looked pretty good considering the circumstances in his rookie year. So you have a guy that you got to build around. Derrick Henry honestly isn't coming back. The only receiver you have is DeAndre Hopkins, who's still a very good receiver. Treylon Burks to me isn't very good. I was never sold on him coming out. He's always hurt. Chiga Conquo's fine, the tight end, but other than that, there's nothing there. Tyjae Spears he'll probably give him a shot for the top running back job. He flashed this year. I don't know what kind of player he really is yet. They have to fix that offensive line. Their offensive line was horrible. They need to fix it. I like Skrzyzewski you took in the first round. I think he's really good. They have him at guard. Thank you for not making the mistake putting him at tackle. Like some teams like the Carolina Panthers, like, oh, why is Ike Ekwonu so bad? Because they play him at left tackle, and he is a guard. He is not a tackle. He is a guard. I even think Evan Neal is a guard. He's certainly a tackle. Yikes! I don't know what he's doing out there. They have some pieces on the defense. Jeffrey Simmons. Obviously got themselves a head coach. I like Bobby Slowick. I know him and Ron Carpin briefly crossed paths in San Francisco when Carpin was in the front office. Slowick was the quality control coach there. He was a quality control coach, so not much, but something. He's an offensive-minded guy. You saw the work he did with CJ Stroud, and I guess working with another young quarterback in the level. I think it's a good fit. They're going to a big rebuild, but get yourself a head coach, fix that line, get another weapon for Levis. At number 26, we have the New York Jets. Look, Aaron Rodgers is coming back next year. They got to try with him. They don't have a choice. You have too much at this point. Fix the offensive line, please. It's doable. The main reason their O-line struggle was because of injuries. They were destroyed by injuries. Dwan Brown missed most of the year. Elijah Vera Tucker missed most of the year. McGovern missed a lot of time. Billy Turner was only starting because guys got hurt, missed a lot of time. Max Mitchell was only in there because of injuries, missed a lot of time. Mekhi Becton missed a couple of games. They have Vera Tucker coming back. They got to pick a spot for him. I think the reason he keeps getting hurt is because they keep moving him from guard to tackle. Pick a spot for him and keep him there. They have this kid Titman. Looks like he could be pretty good at center. Got some potential. The guard Tomlinson's pretty good. But otherwise, they desperately need a left tackle. And, either a guard or a right tackle, depending on where you're putting Vera Tucker. And you need another swing tackle or another piece in case Vera Tucker gets hurt. But the defense is mostly coming back besides Bryce Huff. They have a great defense. I'm not sold on Robert Saleh. Obviously, you guys know I don't think he's good at all as a head coach. But he's coming back. Get get yourself a better offensive line. Maybe add another piece on the outside. Because Almazard could maybe play a little better because he's got the chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. But so after that, there isn't a whole lot. So if they sign like a solid third receiver of Wilson, Lazard, you have Brees Hall, the couple tight ends who I think are serviceable, and Conklin and Ruckert. Jets could be in much better shape going into next year. Number 25 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They gotta get Jim Harbaugh. Get him in there, a big name, or maybe Belichick or Ben Johnson, but go and get Harbaugh. This is a pretty good team. Obviously, you have Justin Herbert healthy. He's obviously a superstar in the making. Got a lot of pieces on offense and a couple of guys on the defense. This team should be good. Number 24 is the Denver Broncos. They're in a tough spot, so they're getting rid of Russell Wilson, taking on the $85 million cap hit. So they got $211 million left on his contract. A lot of the players are not happy with Sean Payton. A lot of fans won't want to sign with Denver because of Sean Payton. They're in a tough spot. That's why George Payton, the GM, is still there. Their O-line isn't very good. They don't have a quarterback. Their defense sucks. To me, if I'm Denver's owner, like a guy who owns Walmart, I'm telling Payton, you got 1 year to turn this thing around, or I'm firing you. I'll eat the money. I don't care. I can afford it. I own Walmart. Number 23, the Chicago Bears. They have a big decision to make with Justin Fields. A big decision. I liked him coming out of Ohio State, and I think the reason he's had a struggle is far from all on him. I thought Getsy was a horrible coordinator. I don't think Eberflus is a good head coach. He's had a terrible offensive line. We hadn't had a run game. The defense didn't really start playing well until down the stretch this year, but he's had some nice receivers. This year he had DJ Moore had a great year. He should have been a Pro Bowler. Mooney's pretty good. I like Kmet. He's a good tight end. With the backs, Clear Herbert was battling injuries. He really wasn't all that great till he only had a couple of good games down the stretch. He had Roshan Johnson was okay. So if they can improve the offensive line, maybe improve the running game, get a better play caller, maybe continuing to build on defense. They have some young defensive backs I like. Jalen Johnson is a stud. He was an all-pro. I like Kyler Gordon. You got, A. Jackson's getting a little older. He could be a cap casualty. We'll see if they keep adding. You have Montez Sweat, who played really well if they got him at the trade deadline. Maybe if you give him somebody else on the other side from him, that could be really frightening for other teams. After they have the first pick in the draft, I heard they don't want to trade unless they get a King's ransom back for it, because they traded it last year, though that did work out. They got to improve the line, and they just got to keep building, and they got to make a decision on Fields. Part of me, they should probably move him, because if he goes out and plays well next year, well, then if you have to pay him $40+ million, and if he doesn't, well, even some polls are going to get fired. But also, if they're on the hot seat, do they want to go into that year with a rookie quarterback? I don't think they will. So if it were me, I'd probably move him, and then listen to always on the number one pick. Unless you get a King's ransom, take Marvin Harrison. Or a quarterback, I would probably take Jade Daniels, honestly, or Drake May, not Caleb Williams. Because the problem is, I think if they keep him, I'm not sold of that. Somewhat obviously we don't know what we're getting out of him. And if they miss the playoffs, I think both Eberflus and Poles are getting fired. But if they make the move to trade Fields and then take a quarterback, I think they're going to take Caleb Williams, which I think is the wrong move. So, but what's most likely is that they're going to realize our jobs are on the line this year. We can't go in with a quarterback. Gotta make it work with this kid, and I think they're gonna keep him. At 22 is the Atlanta Falcons. Get yourself a coach and a quarterback. Desmond Ridder absolutely sucks. Arthur Smith is out of there for a reason. A lot of nice young weapons. B.J. Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, a pretty good line, pretty good defense. Get yourself a quarterback. They still have a coach. It looks like Bill Belichick's favorite over there. They already interviewed Jim Harbaugh as well. And this team should easily win the NFC South next year. Number 21 is the Minnesota Vikings. They're really, really mid. I'm a little worried about Kevin O'Connell. Vikings got very lucky last year, winning 13 games. Well, they won a lot of close games. This year didn't win obviously as many. Obviously, you had the injury to Kirk Cousins, which did the man. If he was healthy, they probably would have made the playoffs. O'Connell's decision making was questionable this year. After Kirk got hurt, they went to Jaron Hall, even though they had just traded for Josh Dobbs, who he been starting all year for Arizona. Hall gets hurt. They want to go with Dobbs, and he has the one bad game. They go to Mullins, and they pulled him for Hall for no reason in the do or die game. And also, that defense is absolutely terrible. It's one of the 5 worst in the league by a country mile. It's so bad. It's so bad. Number 20 is the New Orleans Saints. Why does Dan Allen have a job? I don't get it. Why does he have a job? I don't understand. I don't know. I know that they took, obviously, I talked about earlier, they took Carmichael, but he needs to go, but Allen should have followed him. Allen should have been first. Derek Carr is not that good. They don't have a ton of weapons outside of Kamara and Chris Olave. The O-line is Defense outside of Cam Jordan is defense is aging. They're a zillion dollars over the cap. This team is kind of screwed, honestly. They're at best going to be 8, 9, 9, and 8. They're in any other division, they'd be a 5-win team. If they win the division next year, Dennis Allen needs to be exiled from the New Orleans. Number 19 is the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, I think they have a pretty nice foundation. You got some weapons on offense. You have a lot of young pieces on defense. I keep Antonio Pierce. Otherwise, a lot of those guys are not going to want to be there. Josh Jacobs will leave in free agency. Devontae Adams will want to trade. Max Crosby will want to trade. Keep him and get yourself a quarterback. They have, the 11th, 12th, 13th pick, whatever they have. I get yourself a quarterback. I'm not sure if O'Connell's the guy. We did play pretty well down the stretch, so maybe give him another shot. I probably wouldn't. Don't love O'Connell, but I'd probably keep his eye. Probably move on from O'Connell. Get yourself a real quarterback in the Raiders. Could find himself to turn the franchise around, possibly. Number 18 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Are they going to have them a little low? I don't have them that low. I could have even had them lower. What the hell happened to this team? Last year, they were in the Super Bowl. You draft Jalen Carter, and, the stud D tackle in the first round. You trade up one spot again with the 9th pick. You also take Nolan Smith, later in the first round. You brought back Darius Slay. You brought back James Bradbury. You filled the hole, say, by trading for Kevin Byard early in the year. Obviously, you still had that whole load of offense. And they gave up it after week 12. They were 10-1. And then, you get blown up by the 49ers. And then you were just like, let's give up. They were clearly mentally checked out weeks ago. Brian Johnson is an absolute moron. No idea what he's doing. He was a quarterback coach in Philly last year. They promoted him after Steichen took the job in Indianapolis to be a head coach. And then Sean Desai didn't do a good job. And then Matt Patricia, really, Nick Sirianni? That was the answer to the problem? Promoting Matt Patricia? Good Lord. Hurt who actually had a great year in this year. Outside of, getting shoved into the end zone from guys grabbing his backside, shoving him into the end zone from 1 yard out. He's done nothing. He was not good this year. Now he's making $51 million a year. I really think he's an average guy who, looked great in a loaded offense with a great corner, then the coordinator left, and now he's being exposed. There's supposed to be this great running team, and they, all of a sudden they couldn't run the ball. A.J. Brown, who in the first half of the year looked like the MVP, he was very, very pedestrian in the second half. Vladimir Smith didn't do a whole lot. Garrett didn't do a whole lot. This front seven was supposed to be the best front seven in the league. They couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. Their secondary was the worst in the league after week 12. Slice sucked this year. Bradbury was awful. Kevin Byard didn't really help. Awful, awful, awful. And they got to fire Sirianni. He's not that great of a coach. He is hired well. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. Just, I mean, this is the players have no respect for the coaching staff. They are all clowns, and they all need to go now. Number 17 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they won a playoff game when they played Philly. They're going to want to sign Baker again. Hopefully not for too long of a deal, because whenever he's played any sort of good defense, he's looked horrible. I don't care what his numbers say. And it's going to be... this screams Daniel Jones. He was terrible for years. He had one decent year. He'll win a playoff game against a fraudulent opponent. Then he'll lose in the second round. Won't play very well. They'll give him a big deal. And then he'll go out there and be terrible next year. Like, oh, wait. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not that good. Oh, crap. They're over the cap. They can't bring in anybody else. Todd Bowles isn't that good of a head coach. They're just in a really bad division. Nothing else to say. Number 16 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what the hell happened to this team. Last year they went out. They won the division. They won a playoff. They had that great comeback against the Chargers. They were 8-3 this year. They were competing for the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then they completely collapsed and somehow lost the division. They fired their entire defensive coaching staff, including the coordinator, Mike Caldwell. Their defense was not good down the stretch at all. Now at this point, it's on Doug Peterson, because if they don't make the playoffs again next year, he's gone. And we gotta have a conversation about Trevor Lawrence. He's supposed to be a generational talent. We need to start talking about maybe he's not going to live up to that. Because he was not that good this year. 19 touchdowns, really, in that offense? That's unacceptable. Going into the year, I thought they were going to have a top 5 offense in the league. I really did. And they went splat on their face down the stretch. That's an embarrassing collapse. Number 15 is the Seattle Seahawks. Look, obviously they're going in a different direction after getting rid of Pete Carroll and moving him into the front office. So they do a head coach. They got to get themselves a head coach and get themselves a quarterback. A lot of weapons on offense. You got some pieces on defense, especially in that secondary. You know, on the Trick one, he had a bit of a tough year. He took a step back. He was benched a couple times, but still young. He was great as a rookie. You know, Devin Witherspoon is a stud. Julian Level was a Pro Bowler. He had a breakout year. To me, if they get a good quarterback, they should easily be in the playoffs next year. Number 14 is the Indianapolis Colts. They got a really good young team that's on the rise. A good young head coach in Steichen. You'll have Anthony Richardson helping next year with Taylor at back. Just keep building. They should definitely be a playoff team next year. Number 13, Cincinnati Bengals. Also, you'll get Joe Burrow back next year. Issue is they got to pay Chase a whole lot of money. I don't think they can keep T. Higgins. Might have to just tag him and trade him. Might be the best bet. And they got to improve the offensive line, and their secondary needs help. Their secondary was terrible this year. Losing Von Bell and Jesse Bates really hurt, especially since Jesse Bates was a first-team All-Pro in Atlanta. You know, their safeties here were Dax Hill and Nick Scott. Did not go so well. Number 12 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, Tomlin's a great coach, one of the best in the league. Hall of Famer, 17 straight winning seasons is incredible. He has a ring. But I haven't won a Super Bowl since like 2008 or 2010 or whatever it is. And every year it's like they go 9-7, 9-8, 10-7, 9-7-1, and they lose in the first round. That's their ceiling. At some point, you can't be satisfied with that. So get yourself a new coordinator. You gotta go out, get yourself a quarterback, because Kenny Pickett is absolutely terrible. There was no doubt with him and Mason Rudolph, for both healthy, that Mason Rudolph was the best bet in that playoff game against the Bills. They have a lot of pieces on offense. I know Najee Harris. I mean, he ran for 1,000 yards in every year. I think he's a good back, not a great back. Maybe not quite what we thought he was going to be. I mean, I love him coming out. I said he was Derrick Henry with pass catching ability coming out. I think he's a solid back. You know, you have Jalen Warren there. You have, Pickens has a chance to be great. Deontay Johnson's really good. You have a lot of weapons. Defense led by TJ Watt. The talent's there. They got to get themselves a better quarterback, improve the offensive line because God, the O line is horrible. It's terrible. Dan Moore is pitiful. Yeah, Robert Jones on the wrong side of the line. He might be a guard. He might move to the other side. Improve that line. Fix the quarterback and the play caller. Only if next year, if they're 9-8 again, they're 9-8 next year, you might start looking at Tom and be like, I think we might just need a change. Number 11, they have the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, I was definitely wrong on him. A lot of people were. He looks like he's going to be a great quarterback for a long time. They have so many weapons on offense. They're a really good young team. Next year, if they get themselves a better defensive coordinator who can do a little more with the talent that they have, the Packers team, they might they could be a team that does even better than this. They could be like a team that goes on a run next year. This team's going to be really good for a long time because they're really young. Number 10 is the Los Angeles Rams. The fact that they won 10 games and made the playoffs is incredible. Stafford's a little older, but still pretty good. Got a lot of weapons on offense. Kieran Williams looks like a stud. You got Puka Nacua also looks like a stud. Both of those in the 5th round. They've had, despite having a first-round pick in 7 years, they've gotten excellent value. Puka Nacua in the 5th round. Kyrie Williams in the 5th round. Cooper Kupp in the 2nd round. I can just go down the list. They're going to have a lot of cap space. If they improve that off the line and they improve the secondary, the Rams could be a dangerous team next year. Number 9 is the Miami Dolphins. Okay, they haven't won a playoff game since 2001, first of all, so definitely there's something wrong. Look, obviously we know the pieces in their offense are incredible. They have some guys on defense. Vic Fangio's a great defensive coordinator. I think Mike McDaniel has to go. He's a great play designer. I'll take him as an offensive coordinator any day of the week. Not a head coach. His decision making is questionable. I know everyone thinks he's really funny. To me, he's a little too loosey-goosey to be a head coach. And also, Tua, we can't do this every year. He's not the guy. They will never win a damn thing with him. I'm sorry, they just won't. He's got to go. Number 8 is the Houston Texans. They're going to be good for a long time. They got a young head coach who's really good, DeMeco Ryans. They got a young stud at quarterback in and CJ Stroud. A lot of young pieces. Also, they just won the division and a playoff game. I have nothing bad to say about the Houston Texans. Number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. You can change the coach, you can change the quarterback, you can change the players. The result will always be the same with the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone thought when they finally put Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame, he lifted the curse. Yeah. It didn't. Mike McCarthy needs to go. He's not a good head coach. He's an awful play caller. His clock management is about as good as a 13-year-old. In fact, if that 13-year-old plays Madden, they probably have better clock management than Mike McCarthy. And Dak, something of Tua. We can't do this every year. We just can't. It's been 8 years, two presidential terms. He's been the quarterback there. We know what you are. You're an average starter with pieces around you. You can do enough to get your team to the playoffs. But once you get to the playoffs, you're about as useful as a broken stick. He's terrible in the playoffs. Overrated. Get him out of there. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns. It was fun while it lasted. They're in a tough spot with that Deshaun Watson contract. They're going to lose some pieces on defense. But they had a fun year. Bound through all those injuries, I guess. Number 5 is the Chiefs. Obviously, their receivers suck this year on the line, but I think they're going to the AFC Championship still, so they got Mahomes. Number 4 is the Detroit Lions. Lions have arrived. Nothing bad to say about them. Number 3 is the Buffalo Bills. You got, obviously, I've been going on with Josh Allen. Is he good? Is he not? We'll see what happens this week. Number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. Nothing much. We all know the deal with them. Purdy, the whole thing. And number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. The only team that can beat them is themselves. Once they shoot themselves in the foot, they should win the Super Bowl. If I don't, something went wrong. All right? That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.